Science fiction legend Theodore Sturgeon's novella Baby is 3 was published in a 1952 issue of Galaxy magazine. He later expanded the story to novel form, adding 2 more parts, The Fabulous Idiot to the beginning and Morality to the end. The engrossing work was published in 1953 as the novel More Than Human. I recommend More Than Human for those who appreciate a probe into the human psyche, ideas of blended consciousness or considerations of the weight of neglect, abuse or trauma on human development and human action. I recommend More Than Human for Sturgeon's creative prose that drifts poetic with ease and pulls back from the lyrical when called for. This versatility is reminiscent of Ray Bradbury, and I therefore also recommend this to fans of his work. Finally, I'd recommend this for those who enjoy science fiction fantasy that imagines human evolution. More Than Human examines the coming together of several damaged, discarded, lonely, gifted, lost individuals who will represent, possibly, a new and advanced life form. I ranked this around number 105 on my top 210 science fiction books list last year. If you've read or you're planning to read More Than Human, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to try to avoid spoilers, but because this can be a difficult book for some to get their bearings, I'm also going to try to have a let me help you get your bearings attitude as well. I won't spoil any of the book's main surprises or its big reveals. At the end of the episode, I'll share my 5 likes and 5 dislikes, spoilers and all, and I'm also going to hit you with some Lady Gaga tribute parody music for the book at the end of the video. In More Than Human, Sturgeon first introduces the fabulous idiot, a young man alone in the forest. His mind touches that of another, a young girl, and draws him to a clearing in the forest where 2 young girls live with their deranged, extremist father. The father, Mr. Q, is a radical who believes he's protecting the girls from a dangerous world, their sinful naked bodies, and the potential for immoral thoughts from themselves or directed at them. Unaware of what's happening, the minds of the youngest daughter and the mind of the idiot connects and sets off a series of dark and disturbing events. These events will unfold to lead to an eventual coming together of several diverse characters with unique traits or abilities and the formation of what they label homogestalt. As individuals, these characters are lonely, mistreated, ignored, or discarded. Together, they will discover trust, a sense of belonging and power, and hopefully, a sense of morality. More Than Human tells the story of homogestalt's maturation, imagining a next stage of human development and human evolution. Homogestalt might just be a new form of life, a blending and meshing of individuals drawn by a desire to belong to form one fully realized being. This bleshing, as it's referred to in the novel, does not appear to include the physical bodies blending, but rather the minds and actions operating as one. The idiot will eventually bear the name Lone. Lone has the ability to mentally suggest others do as he wishes. The next member of the group is Baby. That's it, just Baby. Baby is referred to as Mongoloid, and Baby is highly intelligent and can answer pretty much any question or solve any puzzle. Baby's inability to speak his answers is resolved with the addition of Janie. Janie's sort of the caring, the fixer of the Gestalt. Janie is a telepath and can communicate with Baby telepathically, making her the perfect one to translate. She's also a telekineticist, meaning that she can move things with her mind. This can be handy considering all of the men with seemingly heightened testosterone that come in and out of her life. Janie's earliest bond is with the twins, Beanie and Bonnie, who it's worth noting are black. This is worth noting considering the idea of black and white characters coming together to form one entity is novel and very progressive for 1950s science fiction and fantasy. The twins are sort of the hands of the Gestalt because their ability to teleport means that they can swipe food and other things that the Gestalt needs. When the Gestalt meets their 6th connection component, personality, consciousness, what have you, it's when the book might become more difficult for some. Jerry Thompson is possibly the most consequential character, and his relationship to within the Gestalt is dramatic, severe, and possibly for the reader, confusing, as his story evolves through a mostly fragmented narrative. Jerry recognizes that homogestalt represents a new life form that can easily dominate others, and he isn't so certain that there's anything wrong with that. This is the central question of the novel. What is to compel a godlike being to tie itself to the morals and ethics of the humans they are superior to? Individually, Jerry's greatest power may be that he can erase the memories of others. He most oftenly deploys this ability as a means of self-defense. Those who've had their memories wiped cease to be a threat, and the one sliver of hope for recall is to try to piece things together backwards chronologically. This ties in well with Sturgeon's choice of a fragmented narrative and makes Jerry's story more interesting and unclear than if it were told more clearly. It's clear to me this is a good time to move on and get to my 5 likes and 5 dislikes with spoilers, and just for the hell of it, in reverse order. Like number 5, all of the members of the Gestalt are all potential mini Frankenstein's monsters. They're lonely, ignored, mistreated, dismissed. Given the Gestalt's powers, this of course could get very ugly. The focus of the third act on morality builds the novel from good to great. Dislike number 5, the idea of the Gestalt's group mind constituting one fully realized being doesn't completely hold water for me. In a sense, these member individuals need each other, but are still separate, damaged individuals who could leave the realized entity at any time. I maybe needed it to be a fused being, I guess. Like number 4, Sturgeon is a master of prose. This line, for example, after Mr. Q blows his head off, "The eye still stared. She was still pierced by it. She screamed his name. He was no less reachable dead than he had been a moment before. He bent forward as if to show her the ruin which had replaced his hair, and the thing that held her broke, and she ran." Like number 3, you'd be hard-pressed to find another book equal parts disturbing and captivating in its first 15 pages. Readers will know 10 pages in if this book is a fit. Guess what? It's a fit, and it won't let you down. Dislike number 4, the leap of awareness that occurs from the time that Jerry meets Dr. Stern to the moment that he channels Mrs. Q and finally reveals that he replaced Alone. It feels too sudden. More Than Human could have really benefited from being a longer novel, and if it were, this is where I would add to first. Dislike number 3, I would have liked it to have been more science fiction. I'm fine with the science fiction fantasy label, as imagining future human evolution fits, but psionics and special abilities really fall more into the fantasy genre. Probably more of an observation than a dislike. Dislike number 2, while philosophical science fiction is high on my list of subgenres, superpowered beings, not as much. This isn't a superhero book, but it is a book with superpowered beings, and that usually works better for me if the superpower comes from tech or biotech, or simply an alien with abilities. Dislike number 1, did not love the ho-ho, hee-hee babble of the twins. It's a minor element, but diminished the story ever so slightly. Like number 2, Lone's interaction with Miss Q, instructing her to read because he can't, and then extrapolating the information through telekinesis, is super creative. Like number 1, the realness. Sturgeon doesn't pull punches when pulling back the veil on the selfishness and weakness of humans. When Janie's mother reveals that Janie's father has died, her instinct feels like elation. She speaks out loud what she shouldn't, which is, "I can behave questionably to my heart's content and not care if you nose into it. I don't care if I should shield you from things that you don't want to see. And there is no longer any control on how irresponsible I can be." Now here comes the Lady Gaga tune with my More Than Human lyrics. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read.